All right, so my nephew wants a Karambit. Well, never done one, but we're going to give it a shot. 5160 spring steel from a old classic Camaro. So we're going to get this thing cut out, and then we're going to, it's really thick, so we're going to have to beat it flat, and beat it to shape. Well, that's why I wear protection, because I have caught myself on fire. Hazards of the job. Okay, we have our basic shape cut out with the angle grinder. So what we're going to do now is clean the lines up on my belt grinder. Then we'll throw this thing in the forge and we'll beat it out. Okay, the reason that I used the belt grinder to take off some material is because look how thick that is. That is some thick stuff, and it's going to be a lot to pound it out. So I just, the less material I got to pound out, the better. So I'm going to get the forge lit up, get this thing pounded out thinner, and go from there. This anvil is really cold. It's cold outside. It's almost 0 degrees, so the cold anvil is really pulling the heat out of the metal when I go to hit it. So it's going to take me longer. I have to keep heating it up more often than I would if the anvil wasn't cold. is going to take a while, so I'm going to cut the camera, beat this thing out until it's flat profile, as thin as I want it. You can work with it. Okay, so since it's so cold out here, my anvil just will not hold the heat. It's drawing all the heat out of the steel, so I'm only getting a little bit of beating out of the steel each time I heat it up, so I'm wasting a lot of fuel. So what I decided to do is I already beat it out enough to where I can get the full profile of the knife onto the steel, and I drew it out there. Get the camera on there enough. Come on. Okay, so got it all on there. So what I'm going to do now is use my big belt grinder to grind the profile down, and basically I'm just going to go through a belt or two and grind that down to a thickness that I'm happy with. So I'm going to get to grinding. Even just using the grinder, and I mean, grinding such big steel and with these belts creates a lot of heat. So I'm gonna give me a bucket of water so I can cool the steel down. All right, got my water. Here we go. Okay, so I got my basic shape. I'm gonna have to get the smaller stuff with either a hand file, or I got another. I can use the angle grinder, but I'll get these honed out, and then I'll come back with a hand magnet, get this thing ground down to probably about 1/8 of an inch. We'll see. I might want it a little bit thicker. But once I get it ground a little thinner, I can pound this thing flat. Right now it's not so flat. So once I get it thinner, I can get it flatter. And then we'll see what happens. So basically what I'm doing now is I'll keep grinding until I get fresh, shiny metal, uniform all the way through. Then I know this whole side's flat. Then once I get this side flat, I'll turn it and get the other side to where it's flat. Then we'll see what thickness we're at. Alright, as you can see, this thing is pretty flat on this side. So, no movement, it's flat. So we're going to flip it over, do the same thing to this side till it's flat, and then it's probably going to end up pretty thin, about where we need it. So it's going to take a lot of grinding. This heavy grinding really kills my back, but that's what I got to do to get it done. I'm not going to waste all my propane trying to heat this thing up and beat it when my anvil just isn't, it's just not warm enough. So we'll get that thing ground down, then we'll see where we're at from there. All right, so as you can see, I've got the hole started for the finger, but I have this step drill that goes up to 1 3/8 of an inch. So what I need is a 1-inch hole, but the step drill is not getting through any more metal. So what I'm going to try to do is heat this thing up till it's cherry red. Try to drill it while it's hot. If I can't get the step drill to go through that, I'm going to have to use the Dremel. So stay tuned, we'll see what happens. Okay, the step drill and heating it up didn't work. I think the drill bit I have it's not going to cut through the steel. So what I've done is drawn the circle on there, and I'm going to use the Dremel tool to get it as close as possible to the line, and then I'll try to use the step bit one more time just to kind of bevel the edge, and then that's gonna have to do it. Are you fucking kidding me? Damn it. Well, that just happened. I think a spark got down into the Dremel and it burnt it up. It just exploded. So I think a spark from sanding the knife got into the Dremel somehow, into that little crack, and blew it up. Fuck. Alright, there's the final profile, all ground down. Now we gotta throw this thing in the forge and heat treat it. doing thermal cycles, and then we'll quench it. What I'm doing is no, you probably can't see. Put it in a vise. I do this with all my knives. I put it in a vise between two plates, just to keep it straight, keep it from warping. I usually test it with a file after it cools down. I mean, some people test it straight out of the quench, but your blade's still pretty warm and it can change, so wait for it to come down to room temperature, check it, that'll tell you if it's hardened or not. Here we go. Sounds good. There you have it. Hardened blade. You're going to throw it in the oven to temper it. Bring the hardness down and make it a little bit more durable. Right now, if I drop this, it'd probably crack because it's pretty brittle when it's super hardened. So put it in the nice and straight. Put it in the oven, 400 degrees for 2 cycles of 2 hours each. And we'll be ready to grind it out. Alright, heat treating's done. I got some pretty heavy scratches. I'm going to try to get out on the flat platen. Then I'm going to use the wheel, try to grind in these bevels. This blade's already heat treated. I'm just trying to get the scratches out. I'm not really trying to remove any material to make this any thinner. And heavy pressure on a hard grind to really heat your blade up, and you don't want to ruin the temper. It's already been heat treated and tempered, so keep dunking it in water to cool it down, light pressure. I'm going to go with my surface conditioning belts and get this thing polished out a little bit better before I start doing the bevels. It's freaking cold in here. That's why I got my forge going, kind of heated up. All right, I'm going to draw my center lines, and then I'm going to start cutting my bevel in. Okay, the top bevel's done. Super happy with how that top bevel came out. Nice, good, steady, even grind line. Now the hard part is this bottom bevel. Man, this is going to be a nightmare. Did a couple practice blades. They turned out okay. Wasn't too thrilled. So for my first try at a Karambit with a heavy curve like that, it's hard to do on an under curve. We're going to see how it turns out. All right, bevels are ground out. For a first try, I think it turned out okay. I'm not really worried about all these little scratches because I'm going to put it in some ferric chloride and do some kind of etch on it. But all in all, I think it turned out pretty good. Those are my marks for the scales. Actually, this knife is for my nephew Gavin. He picked out some tiger stripe scales, so as soon as I get those, we'll get them on. Sharpen this bad boy up. Okay, now I got to match up the bottom scale to the top scale. Okay, they're super close. So now I'm gonna put some glue up some spacers today, put some spacers on there, and they'll be ready to glue up tomorrow. Well, I thought it was recording, but it wasn't. So what I'm doing now is I got the handle all glued up. Now I just gotta grind the handle material down to the profile of the blade. Okay, so as you can see, I got down to the metal. I did a little bit of scribe work with some orange inlay there. The bottom profile I'm going to do on my small wheel grinder just to get in there real good. All right. Alright, so profile's all done. So now just a little bit of hand sanding, clean it all up. I'm thinking I might put some scallops in here, but I'm gonna get a hold of Gavin and see if he wants this just smooth or if he wants it scalloped. Never done scallops before, so we'll see. And I still got a couple more scratches up here to try to get out. But looking good.